They will always talk. They will always judge. The crowd will whisper, mock, analyze, and question your every move. But the moment you start ignoring them, something shifts. Not outside, but inside you. You start hearing a new voice, the one you've silenced for years. The voice of your own soul. When you ignore the noise, the fear, the expectations, you begin to see life with your own eyes, not through the lens of others. The world wants you to fit a mold because your freedom threatens its order. So when you walk away from the crowd, it won't applaud. It will try to pull you back. But walk anyway. Walk in silence. Walk in purpose. Walk in truth. And watch what happens when you choose your own direction. Not the one they drew for you. That's when your real story begins. When you stop asking for permission and start living with conviction. At first, it's uncomfortable. The silence can feel deafening. Doubt creeps in, asking if maybe they were right. You'll question your steps, your goals, your identity. But sit with that discomfort. Let it teach you. Because the process of shedding old identities is painful. People want the you they can understand, the version they can label and predict. But you were never born to be understood by everyone. You were born to grow, to evolve, to step into something bigger than the boxes they've placed you in. Every time you choose to ignore their expectations, you peel off another layer that doesn't belong. And underneath, there's someone powerful, someone resilient, someone you've been waiting to meet. So when the world grows quiet, don't run back for noise. Stay with your own breath. That's where transformation begins, in the solitude of self-trust, in the rebellion of becoming who you were always meant to be. You'll lose people. That's guaranteed. Some will leave silently. Others will walk away loudly, making sure you feel every ounce of their disappointment. It will hurt. But losing people is not always a tragedy. Sometimes it's divine alignment. The ones who can't accept your growth were never meant to witness your greatness. Let them go. You're not abandoning them. You're choosing you. That's a bold act of self-love in a world addicted to approval. When you stop shrinking to fit the comfort of others, you start expanding into the life designed just for you. And yes, it gets lonely. But loneliness is not emptiness. It's space. Space for new dreams, new allies, new beginnings. So if it feels like everything's falling apart, trust that something greater is falling into place. The people meant for your journey will find you in your truth, not in your compromise. And when they do, you won't have to pretend. Something strange happens when you stop explaining yourself. You begin to breathe deeper. You start to feel lighter. You realize most explanations are cages dressed as conversations. People don't always want to understand. They want to control. But when you go silent, when you let your actions speak, the world notices. Not because you yelled, but because you moved with certainty. There's a quiet power in doing your thing, relentlessly, unapologetically. That power builds momentum, and before you know it, you're no longer waiting for support. You're creating your own wind. You're writing your own rhythm. You're becoming undeniable. The most powerful shifts happen not when you shout your worth, but when you live it so boldly that even silence becomes a statement. So stop wasting energy trying to make them see you. See yourself. Believe in that version. Because once you do, the world has no choice but to adjust. People will call you selfish. They'll say you've changed. And you have, because you're no longer placing their comfort above your calling. That's not selfishness, that's alignment. The truth is, some people loved you better when you were lost, when you didn't know your worth, when your boundaries were blurry, and your yes came too easily. But now you're awake. Now you choose peace over people-pleasing, and that shift will scare those who benefited from your silence. Let them be uncomfortable. Growth always disrupts the status quo. You don't owe anyone an apology for becoming whole. You owe it to yourself to protect that wholeness with everything you have. So the next time someone says you've changed, smile. Because you have. And that's the point. You're not here to be who they remember. You're here to be who you've always been beneath the noise. That version, that's the one worth fighting for. Every time you choose authenticity over acceptance, you strengthen your spirit. At first, it feels risky. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's the ultimate act of courage. To be real in a world addicted to the fake takes strength. But as you walk that path, you find others on it too. The ones who see your truth and honor it. The ones who don't need masks to feel connected. These are your people. Not the loudest in the room, but the ones who clap quietly, consistently, when no one else is watching. You'll find that as you lose what's false, you gain what's real. And what's real doesn't need convincing. It just is. You were never meant to be a mirror of the crowd. You were born to be a light, so shine without asking. Glow without dimming. Your authenticity is not a risk. It's your revolution. And it will inspire others to rise with you. Watch how your energy changes. The more you disconnect from the opinions of others, the more power returns to you. You stop seeking and start becoming. You stop proving and start being. And that shift is magnetic. Opportunities begin to align. Peace becomes your default. You wake up not to impress, but to express. Your purpose becomes clearer. The fog of fear lifts. And what's left is focus. You're no longer pulled by every voice, every distraction, every demand. You are centered, grounded, alive. The world doesn't need another version of someone else. It needs the real you, unfiltered, unshaken, and unstoppable. So yes, ignore them. Not out of arrogance, but out of wisdom. Because when you stop feeding the noise, you start feeding your soul. And a nourished soul is a force of nature. It builds, it heals, it creates. That's what happens when you choose yourself. Not once, but every single day. The critics will still be there. Let them talk. Let them doubt. Let them roll their eyes. Their resistance is proof you're doing something different. Something bold. Something they don't understand. Because they've never dared to try it. You're not here to win their approval. You're here to honor your own journey. Their words don't pay your bills. Their opinions don't build your legacy. So let them speak while you move. Let them scoff while you work. Let them underestimate you until they can't. Because the most powerful clapback isn't noise, it's success. It's peace. It's showing up every day and doing the thing they said you couldn't. That's how you answer doubt, with discipline. That's how you silence judgment, with results. You're not in competition with them. You're in commitment to you. And that is a battle worth every sacrifice. So walk forward with your head high, even when they don't clap, especially then. Most people live in fear of rejection, but the moment you stop fearing it, you gain a superpower. Rejection is not a reflection of your worth. It's redirection to where you truly belong. When you ignore the fear of what if they don't like me, you begin to chase what actually fulfills you. And that chase leads to greatness. You stop diluting your dreams to be digestible. You start dreaming louder, living bolder, loving deeper. And in doing so, you build a life you don't need to escape from. A life that doesn't just look good on social media, but feels good in your soul. That shift is priceless. The world is full of people performing for love. But the moment you give that love to yourself, you stop performing. You start living. So let them reject you. Let them misunderstand. Because your life isn't their stage. It's your sanctuary. Treat it as such. The path of self-trust is not easy. It requires walking blindfolded through storms with only your faith to guide you. But that faith, when nurtured, becomes unshakable. When you trust yourself, you stop outsourcing your destiny. You begin to believe that you are enough, even when no one claps, even when no one shows up. Because self-trust says, I will keep going, even alone. That's the kind of fire that builds empires. That's the kind of grit that rewrites stories. You don't need certainty to move, you need commitment. Commitment to your values, your purpose, your growth. And when doubt creeps in, as it always will, remind yourself why you started. Remind yourself that you've survived things others don't even know about. You're not weak, you're weathered, and weathered wood doesn't break. It builds strong ships, so keep sailing, keep believing, keep choosing yourself, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you gain control. Not over others, but over yourself. That control is sacred. It means you no longer hand over your power to every insult, every rumor, every misunderstanding. You become the master of your response. And that is where true peace is born. Not from changing them, but from changing how you carry yourself. The more you practice this, the stronger you become. Life doesn't get easier, you get sharper. And the sharper you become, the less you bleed for things that once wounded you. You stop craving validation and start embodying confidence. You stop proving your value and start honoring it. And the moment the shift happens, you rise. Quietly, powerfully, unapologetically. You stop being reactive and start becoming intentional. That's what happens when you ignore the noise. You begin to hear the sound of your own strength. And that strength? It's always been there. Eventually, everything makes sense. The pain, the losses, the silence, the rejections, they weren't punishments, they were preparation. Every delay built your patience. Every no made your yes stronger. Every lonely night shaped your independence. And now, here you are, wiser, sharper, and more resilient than you've ever been. Not because life was easy, but because you stopped looking for shortcuts and started embracing your process. You stopped begging for seats at the table and began building your own. That's the reward for ignoring the noise. That's the fruit of staying faithful to your journey. So don't look back, don't dim your light. Don't apologize for the space you now take up. This is what growth looks like. This is what purpose feels like. You've earned every scar, every lesson, every step. And now it's your time. Time to rise, time to lead. Time to live like you were never meant to fit in, but to stand out. So ignore everyone, follow your calling, and watch how the world quietly begins to follow you.